When I first got into trucking in the 70s, even then, everybody knew who the England family out of Utah was. They were trucking royalty. They ran a carrier that everyone wanted to work for. They had great equipment, they had the best reputation, every driver wanted to drive there. And then in 1980, deregulation came along, and a whole lot of things changed. And one of the things that changed was that some carriers decided that they were going to get big and they were going to concentrate on growth. And some of these carriers spent so much of their focus on growth and expanding the company that they forgot about their drivers. Here at Smart Trucking, we interact with our subscribers on a weekly basis, and we get to know them after a while. So year in, year out, we banter and chat, and they become almost like family and friends to us. So we get to know them pretty well. Not too long ago, a bunch of us were bantering about the mega carriers and the problems with them and some of those mega carriers. And one of the subscribers said to us, and we got talking about the new modern CR England. And one of the subscribers said to us, oh, that he used to work there, and we hadn't known that. So time in the stream was short. We asked him to email that story to us, and he did. And after we read it, we were shocked. I couldn't believe it, and I want to read that email to you. I started with them, CR England, at the age of 21, going through their premier truck driving school. Lasted 3 weeks, and all I learned was that CR England doesn't care if you learn how to drive or not. It was unbelievably easy. After I finished their school, they told me my trainer would contact me. At 3 a.m., I got a call and he said for me to meet him at the yard. I showed up to the yard and he asked me where my bags were and that we were going to New Jersey and that no one had told me that we were leaving on a load. The trainer, the school, no one had told me I was leaving for 3 weeks on a run right away. I had no extra clothes. All I had was the clothes on my back and a little bit of stuff I could find to bring from my car in the middle of the wintertime. No one cared either. My trainer didn't care, nor did the dispatch care. The next kicker was that there were 3 of us, 1 trainer and 2 trainees, in a truck that only had 2 beds in it. I had to sleep in the passenger seat when we had to wait for a load, and the trainer did not care at all. The trainee and I were splitting 12 cents a mile, so 6 cents a mile for both of us, while the trainer got his full pay plus extra for training. And he would let us starve. I had no money at all and wasn't getting paid enough to even get myself something to eat. I had to ask my parents for money constantly just so I could eat. I told dispatch this and they said sorry, but there's nothing that can be done. The trainer did not care about us or if we learned anything. He was asleep most of the time while we were driving, and when he was awake, he just stayed in the sleeper. We were just an extra paycheck to him. There is one memory I still have from my training, sitting in a Love's in Illinois, where we were waiting for our load down the street at XPO. They were both asleep, and I was in the passenger seat, just thinking, what did I get myself into? While smoking 2 packs in the span of 6 hours, contemplating suicide, because I was stuck in the middle of nowhere, exhausted, hungry, cold, depressed, and homesick. I have a scar on my arm from that night from a cigarette I did to myself, and now it's a reminder that I had made it through the worst. When my trainer got the call, he then had me drive for the next 10 hours with that load. After my training, I was with a random person, and now we got to split 36 cents per mile. Still barely enough to eat, because our dispatch would never send us loads unless we bugged him constantly. We were also never supposed to leave the 11 western states, but he had us go to Illinois numerous times, always saying that he would give us some extra, which never happened. After about 3 months of this, I got on with their Walmart fleet, which was supposed to be their highest paying fleet, which was splitting 42 cents a mile and that extra $15 a drop. This was okay, but dealing with CR England was still not. When we joined on, they told us we would work the week and then come home for our 34-hour reset. This was not the case. We had to fight the dispatch because their excuse was, well, you still have hours. The dispatch, like most about us, did not care, just about getting the loads out, and then they would give us departure times as soon as our 34-hour reset was up. And then even a few times forced us to stay in the truck at the yard for our 34-hour reset, and said if we were not in the truck, if they came knocking, they would fire us. There was one time we had just gotten back from a run. They had us pick up another one immediately after, and we wanted to take a nap. So we did for a few hours, and I get a call from one of them, and he tells me, if you want to take a nap, you have to call us and ask if you can take a nap. Dave, I know you know how hard it is driving teams. It's impossible to get any good rest while the truck is moving. And they expected us to ask them when we could take a nap. Another time we just got back from a run, and I got a call from my dad. He was in the hospital, and I told them I had to leave, and they threatened to fire me without giving them 2 weeks advance notice so I could leave to go see my dad. A week later, I quit because I was just over it. 13 months of dealing with CR England gave me PTSD for years. My girlfriend was worried sometimes because I would wake up in the middle of the night and start yelling or talking in my sleep, or I would start to sweat and shiver tremendously because I was reliving my experiences in my dreams. CR England is not a good company to work for. They are a disgrace, and they know they can get away with everything they do because they hold that tuition payment over your head so you don't say anything. That night in Illinois still haunts me the most. That scar is a reminder to me and a drive for me to do my part in making things better for new drivers so they will come into this career excited. So I got a few things to say here. Here's a company paying this driver 6 cents a mile. So the truck with 3 drivers on it, I think it's pretty safe to assume that 3 drivers on a truck should be able to average 800 miles a day easy. Out of that average, that driver at 6 cents a mile would only make a paltry $48 a day. And yet CR England could not see their way clear to send this guy $48 a day so he could eat. There was nothing they could do, was what they would say. In a promotional video in 2015, Chad England, the current CEO of CR England, said how hard we, meaning the management at CR England, are working to make this place a great place to work. These type of practices continue to this day with these huge carriers treating their drivers like dirt, and they continue to operate with impunity. This is an open and sore festering wound on the face of the American trucking industry, and it needs to be stopped. The ATA can't figure out why they can't find drivers for their trucks, and now they're going to be recruiting teenagers to drive these trucks. So if you're considering getting into the trucking industry, you need to know that there are carriers out there like this. They treat their drivers like dirt. And sadly, it's not just a few of them, it's a whole lot of them. So we're going to start calling these carriers out, and we're going to form a carrier's wall of shame so we can put these people on notice and let everybody know how they treat their drivers. This particular driver was forced to go without proper food. In fact, he lived on Twinkies. He was forced to drive and work without proper sleep because he was forced to sleep sitting up in the passenger seat when the truck was moving even. This driver was verbally abused by dispatch. This driver was forced to even do his reset in the truck, was not allowed to leave the truck for his reset, and was forced to ask permission to take a nap. No human being deserves to be treated like this. No truck driver deserves to be treated like this. This driver was left not only with a physical scar, but with mental scars as well from this horrific experience. Trucking companies need to be held responsible for their employees' health and safety. Our goal is to shed light on the carriers that are irresponsible. So stay safe. Keep the rubber side down. Remember, drivers, we're pulling for you. Don't ever forget that. We'll see you on the backhaul.